Today is August 22nd. I'm Michelle and we're with Bailey and we're interviewing Terry Brine. And Terry, can you tell us about where in the waterfront that you worked?
Yes, it was on Columbia Street and 638 Columbia Street, which is right on the corner of Columbia and Mackenzie, on the southeast corner of Columbia and Mackenzie. And so we directly backed onto the Fraser River from Front Street there on the south side.
And what decades did you work from?
Early 70s, 71, until 42 years later, I guess, just a couple years ago, retired, a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
So, 42 years.
Yeah, and how did you get the job?
Oh, I had it in. My father had the business prior to me. So, actually it spans 3 generations, cop shoe store. And my father retired shortly after I came in, 1975. He had purchased it from my grandfather, my mom's dad, Percy Copp. He came in the business in 1947, and Percy had bought it in 1925. So it spanned 80 years in our family.
Wow.
So it was like a long time,
Yeah.
a lot of history there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And did you guys grow up in New Westminster?
No, I was born in New West and lived there till mid-50s, and then we built and moved to Burnaby, near Deer Lake area. So I grew up in Burnaby.
Yeah. And when you were young, did you go visit, your grandpa's shoe store?
Yeah, I sure did. Well, we used to always go to the YMCA at the corner of Royal and 6th Street there, the old YMCA, not the new one. Or new one's gone, that's how old it is. We're talking about the old one. And, from there we used to walk down to Columbia Street every Saturday morning and bum 10 cents off my dad's, and we'd go buy a donut down the street. So we were down there a lot.
Yeah.
And we used to go down and on Sundays and help out clean up after a busy day of Saturday. So, clean up the boxes, putting shoes away. And so, we went back a lot of years.
Yeah. And so Cobb sold shoes. What type of customers did you guys service?
We were a family shoe store, so we, right from infants, toddlers, babies, right through, to the elderly. So we kind of did everything. That was kind of our backbone of our business. Started them young, and they would come back until they're 85, 90. So we were very fortunate.
Yeah. And were you the only big shoe store on Columbia Street?
No. When I first began in 71, 72, there was probably 6 shoe stores on Columbia Street,
Wow.
all within a block or two, and all did very well.
Yeah.
Of course, as the progression out to the malls took hold, there were fewer and fewer. The last 20 years, we were the only shoe store, other than Army and Navy, of course,
Yeah.
in the area.
And did you work in the store? Like you said, you're a child and you might help clean on Saturdays. But did you work maybe in high school?
Yeah, I worked a little bit in high school. I think in university, I came and worked one summer there. But my dad always felt you get experience outside.
Yeah.
Which so I didn't work there too much.
Yeah.
But enough to get a feel for it. And I had planned to be a teacher. I got my teaching certificate and all set to do that, and decided to try the business for a while and never went back. So.
Yeah. So
my wife was a teacher. That was one of the families enough.
Yeah. Yeah. And can you talk about kind of like the changes that the shoe store has gone through, from your grandpa owning it, and then your dad, and then you owning it?
Yeah. Percy, who my grandfather, Percy Copp, that's where the name originated from. Like I said, he had bought the store in about 1925, 26. And it was, prior to that, it was called the Popular Shoe Store, and that was in that location since about 1911. And so, of course, when Percy was in it, was a major in the army and for the First World War, and so he'd moved from Saskatchewan to Westminster, settled there, bought the shoe store, and of course at that time, Columbia Street, you gotta remember, there wasn't really, there was Fraser Valley, but there was no retail outside of Columbia Street, New Westminster, and Vancouver. It was the only really two retail centers, so he was in the midst of a thriving commercial area, and just well, they used to be open. Saturday night was, believe it or not, was a big retail night. The families would come in, go to the movies, walk around, buy what they need, supplies, so it was a very, very busy, thriving area, and it was right up through my dad's era, right up and through, I guess, the early mid-60s, when things started to, change a bit, and more of the population was growing outside of New Westminster into Surrey and Coquitlam, and so they developed, of course, before the 60s, there was really no malls to speak of at all. Lougheed Mall wasn't there, which was the first big one, no Metrotown, no Guildford. So we had a big draw from across the river into New Westminster. And that all slowly changed a bit as the years progressed, and so we never really changed. We still had a very viable business, and that, of course, now we see we went through some tough times with. We had a number of issues with drug peddling on Columbia Street. We had the Hondurans. We had.
Is that what decade was this?
That would have been maybe late 90s, I'm thinking. Yeah. It was about 2 or 3 years where it was pretty grim, and the police force did a good job of moving them out and along, and so it's pretty tenuous at that point. But to see it now, it's kind of got a bit of a revival happening, and a lot of people living downtown, working in the community there, so it's just great to see the changes.
Yeah. Can you talk a bit about why Columbia Street was called the Miracle Mile?
Well, I think we call it the Miracle Mile or the $1 Million Mile because just the fact that it was a booming retail area, and any business that was fortunate enough to be in that strip there did exceptionally well, and it was high demand to be in that little 4 or 5 block area.
Yeah, and up until when?
Well, I think it would be kind of in the late 60s, mid 60s, when again it was the mall development of retail changed a bit and moved to the suburbs. Whereas the most downtown cores struggled since the malls became very, very popular. So it would have been mid to late 60s was kind of the end of the boom, and gradually got a little tougher after that.
I'm curious about, in the time where you were in charge of the store, what was Columbia Street known as then? So, obviously 70s, it wasn't really the Miracle Mile anymore.
Not the Miracle Mile. I mean, although, in the 70s, we were very, very busy, but we had a good following of clientele, and they kept on coming to us, and didn't necessarily need the street to draw customers. We had a nucleus of our own that kept on coming back, so we were very, very fortunate. But once you lose, like I say, when we had 5 or 6 stores, you think of it as competitors, but in actual fact, everybody benefits from having that number because they all draw their own different customer base, and you can always pick. It kind of works. That's why in fact, it was a mini mall back then, is what it was. And so you have to have the different type of retailers, and the more the better. But no, it started slipping in the kind of the mid-70s, and as stores left, vacancies appeared, and never looks good visually. Get fewer people, true customers walking on the street, and you get more and more those that are not customers, those that just kind of like vagrants or whatever on the street. So if you're the amount of normal people walking around and doing business downtown, as they decrease, visually you can see the others easier, because there's just kind of percentage-wise it's more and more. But walking downtown now, it's a great feel. So that's all kind of reversed itself, and I think in the next 15 years, downtown is going to change it will change significantly in the next 5 years, and it's going to be, again, it will never be like it was. But nothing will be like that, because that's just the times. But it will be a great place to live, and retail will be strong again downtown.
So, why do you think Cobb's shoes lasted so long?
It's like
Cobb's, sorry.
Yes.
Why do you think that it lasted so long compared to other stores?
A lot of it, I think, was a continuity of it, and the fact that both when my grandfather, my father, and myself were in the business, we were hands-on. We were there every day, making sure that things were done the way we felt was the right way to do it, and to give the best customer service, and that is, of course, the key to any retail business is to give an experience that customers will remember, and hopefully they'll keep coming back. And we're extremely fortunate to have a fantastic customer base that kept coming back for generations. So we're very lucky that way. But that was the key, is to be there. I mean, if we're kind of hands off and had 5 or 6 stores and managers that may or may not care as much as we would, you get a much greater slippage, and then you would, as an owner of 5 or 6 stores, you would drop the weak link and you'd be gone. So, but also it helped that we own we're a part owner of the building we were in, so we were landlords as well. So that keeps you there because you own the building, so you can control your expenses, and so your overhead is such that you can still make a good living. If you have to line a landlord's pockets, it's a little different. And having that control.
And your grandpa did he buy out the building when he?
Portion of it.
Portion of it, yeah.
Yes, it was. Back then, you could buy a sixth or a quarter or a third of buildings, and I suppose you can now too. But that was at the end. The business owned half the building, and the other half was owned by the Lewis family, which had an insurance agency in the building for as long as we were there. So we were still current owners of the site. And
did you interact with the Lewis family?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
See them all the time.
Can you tell a bit about them?
Well, I know mostly Bill Lewis, who had a William Lewis insurance agency there. Oh boy, he was from the 50s right up to, he sold out maybe about 10 years ago, a little bit older than I am, and but still retain ownership in the building. So we were hands-on landlords. Always in old buildings, you always have to look after things, and so yeah, we had a pretty good connection. Still do. You probably knows we had a major fire there, so there's no building left. So we're in the process of working through that.
Speaking of the fire, I was curious, did that have something to do with like you mentioned you retired about a year and a half ago. The fire happened recently.
Fire. I retired January 2013. And the fire was October 10th, 2013. Okay. Yeah. But the fire doesn't do with me retiring. I had, I've been 42 years in the business, and I didn't have a succession plan. My kids are all successful. I have 3 kids, and they're all doing very well in their own worlds of commerce and business. And I could either sold the store, kept it going, or else sell out. And I've been approached by a gal who owned some wedding stores downtown, and they were very anxious to get my location. She'd been bugging me for a couple of years to retire, and they were so anxious to get in there, and so I said, fine. And so anyway, I sold everything off, and of course kept the building, and they remodeled that site, and unfortunately, big fire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you're still the landlord, though?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Landlord of a piece of dirt.
Right now.
Yes.
It's being built up, though, right? If I'm not mistaken?
No?
No?
Not yet.
Nothing
still,
yet. Okay.
Still in
Still figuring it out.
progress of going through insurance issues. Yeah. So that's happening now. We'll know soon, hopefully.
Was it hard for you to make that decision to retire?
I was 63 then, 65 now. Not really. It is hard because you've got. I had some good people who had been with me a lot of years that you have to let know that you're not going to be here forever. Great customers, but everybody gets older, and I'm still young enough to enjoy lots of things I want to do, and in the process of doing that. So, no, I have no regrets of retiring when I did. And actually, if I had still had the business and had the fire, it would have been a lot worse than not having the business and having the fire, for sure. Mm-hmm. At least I was able to save, this cash register you're looking at here, that was in my store for that same location for 1911, so 101 years.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Would you mind if we took a picture of that?
Oh, of course not.
That would be something cool to do in a minute.
Yeah. So that we use that every day for 101 years.
That's really cool.
Every day.
It still works. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's quite amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I've contacted the New West Museum and donate to them for their display at the new Civic Center.
Yeah.
It's really generous of you, because that's an awesome piece.
Yes,
Yeah.
a lot of history, but it sits there and I think, I've seen it before. I want other people to enjoy it.
So I'm curious, did you ever have any of the workers, longshoremen or anything like that, come in to buy work boots?
Oh, tons. Work boots are a big part of our business. All of them just come into the store. Seriously, particularly when the longshoreman business was up in our area. Mm-hmm. I mean, when the freighters were parked out just, where the quay is and east of that. Just big business with them. Mm-hmm. They're great clients. They're always fun. They're all characters. Yeah. And they, they like to buy good quality products. They didn't go cheap on their footwear, and they always had a story to tell. And they had right up to the end. We got a lot of longshoremen coming in.
What was the reputation of longshoremen for you as a business owner?
As a business owner, I mean, I was thrilled to have them come in because I know that they all bought, for one, and the retail is important enough. Looking around, they're there to buy. We've always had an edge, but they were usually gregarious. Like I say, lots of stories, lots of. They're entertaining when they came in.
Yeah. They'd share their stories with you?
Oh, always.
Yeah.
They just nothing I can relate to, but just yeah, they you get to know them after a while too, and yeah, I think they enjoyed their jobs down there. It's hardworking guys, but they had a good time. Yeah. I mean, they were pretty close. They had a pretty tight union there, and they kind of family and friends always got first crack at it, and it was kind of cool. Yeah.
Did you see generations of longshoremen? Like they bring their sons in?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. And not just longshoremen, but in I say most of our business is repeat business. So the store's been there that long, you're going to get 3 or 4 generations coming through. I can remember. I was there 40 years, so I get 3 generations for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
It is amazing. Yeah. We were very lucky. Very fortunate to have a business that lasts that long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you ever have anyone coming off the ships that would come into the business, or was it mostly locals?
We did when they docked the boats right on Columbia Street there. Sure, we'd have a lot of workers that would come up, and tons of them. And they had naval ships docked there, and they would come up and shop. So yeah, there was quite a they're on a boat for months. They got to walk around, do something. So we were always the closest little area, because we had a restaurant right next door, and that attracted.
What was the restaurant called?
Royal City Cafe.
Yeah.
Been there from the 50s to. It changed its name finally in 2005, but it was Royal City Cafe up until then.
Cool.
Yeah. There's a picture of it right there. You can see that was done probably just before they're changing their name. You see that it became at the end it was La Saganese, which was a Vietnamese restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they had a nice business there. Fortunately, again, they were part of the fire.
Yeah.
They were a tenant of ours.
Can you tell us about Royal City Cafe and what type of clients they had?
Again, back in 50s, 60s, 70s, there really wasn't any chain restaurants. There was no McDonald's. There was no. The old style cafe was where you went for something to eat, and so it would have these, it was like what you saw in the movies. Had little counters with swivel little stools. Just you sit on little stools, lines of those, and a few of the booze and that. So, but they had a great business there. They had customers that would come in every Saturday morning at 10:30, and that would be their outing. So not unlike our business, repeat customers, and no, it was good for a lot of years, and they served basically, everything from breakfasts, lunches, dinners. Again, nothing phenomenal in today's standards, but it was good back then. Yeah.
And did a lot of business owners know each other along Columbia Street?
Yeah, probably more so, 30 years ago, 20, 30, 40 years ago, there was quite a strong business community, and everybody knew one another. There was a business association that we kind of ran. And
what was it called?
Downtown Business Association. And TNWA, Downtown Westminster Business Association. Anyway, it was before the BIAs began, which is what's there now. And it was association of Downtown Business Association was an association of business owners and who would put up money to do some joint advertising and projects. And they were the kind of the catalyst to have the parkade built back in the 50s. And so, that was kind of even though people consider it an eyesore, it was great for business because it had a lineal parkade. And think about it, it's the only, in any downtown core, most parkades are in a one spot area, so you got to walk wherever you're going to go. But this one, you can park anywhere within half a mile, right behind where you actually want to go. So it was very, very convenient. Held 600 plus cars, and we're taking half of it down in March, I believe. Behind our store is going to be taken down.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, for Pier Park, I think for like a way and
access. That part of it, but you just feel that it was this oversupply parking there, and they want to just open up the waterfront a bit more, which it will do for our area. So I'm quite pleased, and with the Larco development beginning on the waterfront, it'll be good to have that ability to get across the tracks a little easier. Yeah.
Did you think that the downtown association was good for businesses? Was it effective?
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was very, very, very important. Again, years ago, it was all volunteers, of course, and run by the local businessmen and the property owners. But yeah, it was very effective. The BAs now that they have are probably a little less effective, I think, just because their overheads are huge, and you don't have quite the involvement of the businesses as such. You've got to remember back years ago, every business down there would have been owned by the businessmen running it. Now, very few are. They're all owned by someone who owns 15 stores so they don't have the same amount of interest to help out and work on a project. So it's just changed a lot. But yes, to answer your question, it was very effective.
Yeah. And did COPS, did they do joint advertising with other stores?
At times, yeah.
What kind of joint advertising?
Well, I know we did some retail advertising with Regal Clothiers, which was a very good high-end menswear shop downtown. And Mironoff Furs had a big furrier on Columbia Street, just a block down. So we would do a noontime news ad every day with them. What else? Well, through the Downtown Association, they would have monthly pages they would get in the local papers, and everybody would contribute by buying a section of that. So yeah, there's some of that.
Yeah, would the newspaper have been the Columbian?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. And then lately it's been the Record and the Now.
And did you have any relationship with Gatto Shoe Repair?
Gary LaBelle, of course. He was my tenant.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was rented from... Well, he came into business back in the 60s. He was a shoe repair part of that, but he came in late 60s. Before I came to COPS. So yeah, I've known Gary for 40 plus years. Yeah. Still talk to him.
Yeah. Can you talk a bit about his business?
Yeah, he had a very eclectic shoe repair shop. It was old style, old fashioned. He again, back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, he had one or two guys working for him, but as business changed and they retired, just a one-man shop. But Gary did things his own way, kind of that way, and he loved it. He just loved meeting people, loved to talk, and it's kind of a social house of Columbia Street there.
Really? Yeah? Did he know everyone?
Yeah. Everybody knew Gary, he knew everybody else. Yeah, he had to come down. Every time we go down there, there'd be about 2 or 3 people sitting on the Jared's just shooting the breeze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I heard, I talked to him one time.
Did you?
And he said that he was the son of the guy that owned Mobile Shoes.
Mobile Shoes.
Yeah, can you talk about that?
Yeah. It's funny, I was in town yesterday and I went up and talked to Ken Mobile, which is Gary's brother, who's now, well, he's run Mobile Shoes for, been there last 35 years or 40 years. And now his son's involved as well, so it's going to be there a while longer. Gary's dad started an orthopedic shoe business. No retail, but would make shoes. So he would arch supports and shoe alterations for foot problems. So he had a very successful business there, and his son still does, and his grandson still does too. So again, a 3-generation business. Yeah. Gary never went into that part of he was just strictly shoe repair.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was a little different from Nobel's orthopedic.
Yeah.
So was Cop's Shoes exclusively retail then? Or
Yes, strictly retail.
Just to clarify.
Yeah, that's all we did. Now there was a chain of stores called Cop the Shoe Man. It was, and they had started, actually it was my grandfather's brother who started the chain of stores called Cop the Shoe Man. They were throughout Western Canada. Big chain. And eventually they sold out to Mahar Shoe Company back in the early 90s, and then went receivership shortly after that. And after that, we never had our names. It always used to be a bit of a, not a conflict, but people would think, oh yeah, you have a store down in Newsmith, you got a store in Vancouver, you got a store in Burnaby, and you got a store in Port Alberni. No, we just have one store. A little different. Ours was always COPPS, Cops. His other store was called Cop COPP, the Shoe Man. So that was, it was still a family connection, but never a business connection.
Why do you think your family members were like interested from the grandfather and your grandfather's brother? They're interested in.
I don't know how
shoes.
that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was strange. They had all come out from when they're young. They were born in Nova Scotia, so then they, as young adults, younger teenagers, moved out to Saskatoon and started in the real estate there. Fought in the World War One. That's where my mother was born in Saskatoon, 1925, I think, and then or 24, and then I think there was a real estate bust back then, and they lost everything and moved out to Vancouver and found footwear. Yeah. I don't think any great desire, but it just kind of worked, and so it had a great career in it.
Yeah. I believe, did you have a tenant that was a barber?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had right next to LaBelle. You can't see this picture, but that's the side street on Mackenzie.
Yeah.
And there was the shoe repair shop was just the first door down on Mackenzie, and right next door to him was the barber. And Norm Friesen was our last barber. He was there for the last 16, 17 years. Yeah. And but we've had barbers there from the 1920s.
Wow. Okay. Just different. Businesses.
They last for retire after 20 years, and somebody else moves in. And just it was unfortunate. Norm had retired, or had planned to retire. His last, we'd already released his space out to another barber, and he had just sold his shares now to a new barber moving in there. But unfortunately, the fire got in the way, and he just missed it by a couple of weeks. He would have been all out. That was too bad.
Now he's caught up in all the troubles.
Yeah, well, he had basically had planned to retire at the end of October. Was this?
Oh my goodness!
Last day there, so it was unfortunate.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What other tenants have you had?
Well, we've always had on Front Street. Since I've been there, we've always had a kind of couple of antique stores. One kind of more, one definitely antique, the other one was kind of a plethora of junk and old stuff. And
Yeah, like eccentric stuff.
yeah, exactly. Lately, it was kind of did a lot of stuff for the movies and just old things that he would have some value. He did well there.
And were the antiques...
that was on Front Street.
Yeah.
And then on the main Columbia Street, we had, of course, cops. And we had Royal Speak Fade, and we had Bill Lewis's insurance was in there. And the last, since Bill retired, there's been a lawyer's office in there. And then we had 4 tenants upstairs, up on Columbia, but up next level. And they were all full. A lawyer and there was a couple other agencies up there.
Did you have a dentist?
Years ago, the dentist there, yeah.
Yeah. There's a family dentistry. Yeah.
Yes, there was. I think the last name was Matheson, I believe. But that was before I came in, but there was definitely a dentist there. On Front Street, we used to have Hagen's Deli down there.
Yeah, I know about Hagen's.
Yeah.
He gave credit loans to, like, he owned a grocery store. He had shipping. I don't know what you call it now, but if any shipping lines need anything, he would sell stuff. Yeah, and then he had a travel agency.
Well, that's right. He started Hagen's Travel Agency.
Yeah.
That was where he started from, right at Columbia Street, and then they moved up. Right on Front Street, sorry, then they moved up onto Columbia Street, and then they expanded it. A number of Hagen's, which are still around, I believe. Yeah, so it's Old Westminster was kind of the beginning of many businesses. Of course, back then, I mean, like when we talked about the Golden Mile, there was nowhere else to go. So if you're going to be in business, you started in Westminster and worked out from there.
Was there whenever there was space to lease, was it very competitive?
Very much so. Back in, again, we're talking back from up until I say the mid 70s, yeah, for sure. After that, not so much, but now it's tough. So it's really changed again.
So do you think the term Miracle Mile maybe came from, like, it was a miracle if you were on the mile, like if you owned something, like for the business owners?
That's right. It was more. I think it was more. You just knew you were going to be successful if you're on the street.
Right.
So in that respect, it was a miracle. Or I've heard the term $1 Million Mile too. Mm-hmm. So they both mean the same thing. It's successful for people to come down and find what they want, but also for those that worked and down on Columbia Street, it was good for them as well. Mm-hmm. Like I know Joseph Seagull, who just a very successful businessman. He was one of his first stores was down on Columbia Street, and when he had his field stores.
He's the one that the Simon Fraser Business School is named after.
That's right. And he just
Seagull School of Business.
Bought where the Civic Center is. Just bought the high-rise business building above that. So he began, one of his first few stores was right on downtown Golden Mile.
What did he sell?
Field stores was like a Woolworths, like a five and dime type store. Okay. Clothing, just eventually ended up owning Hudson Bay Company. So I mean, he's big time.
Wow, yeah.
Big time. And so you can see where things begin in small, the Golden Mile, because that's where, again, go back, that's really where there was only retail anywhere in Burnaby, Quitlam, Surrey. Everybody came in Westminster. It's hard for you to believe that you're so young. I don't feel that old, but I kind of caught the tail end of it. But I guess the first, when Lougheed Mall opened, I think that was the first big mall.
And what year would you say, what decade did Lougheed Mall open?
You could Google that, I'm sure.
Google it,
But
yeah.
Early 70s,
I would think maybe late 60s
Late
even.
60s, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So in Guildford, that was kind of the first big attraction on the other side of the Fraser River. And, but yeah, it was quite an era.
Yeah, Newsminster has quite the business history.
It does. Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's probably not unique, but it's, for Lower Mainland, I think it is.
Yeah.
So would you attribute the change then, like you're kind of alluding, the shopping malls? Do you think that that's something?
I think so, yeah. And people's shopping habits changed. It's even changed away from the shopping malls a bit. I'd say into more, up until the last year or two, but I'd say, big box stores are taken away from the shopping malls. So you go to your Costco, you can find everything.
Yeah.
You can go to your, of course, your Walmart, which may or may not be in the shopping mall, but the small stores in the shopping malls are having difficulties now because, again, retail has gone away from the service. It's more price oriented and not so much, service oriented. So it's changed a lot just in my short little career at it. But I think that, from what I read, it's kind of maybe moving back a bit to the old way now. People expect a little more. You got to have competitive pricing, but if you had a choice between where you want to go and spend your money, perhaps a smaller store where you can actually talk to people and get some advice and some help is coming back in vogue again.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, because that really is the way it should be done.
Can you talk a bit about the changes that you've seen in the New Westminster waterfront? From there being really industrial, a lot of ships.
Yeah. It was. We used to have, again, just 3 or 4 big freighters parked right out our back door on a daily basis. And they come in and out. And so it was quite a little hub for, on the dock there, loading and unloading. But that's been gone for so many years now. It's kind of a distant memory. But once they opened the Surrey Fraser docks across the way, all those big boats don't come up as far as they used to. They had so much problem with the amount of silt in the river, the dredging to get these big boats up to ours. And the boats became bigger, of course, and they drew more water, and so they just couldn't make it up. So that was the end of it for us in our little area. But they still came to. We still get some benefits from it. But after, once on the waterfront, of course, the quay was built, and when they, of course, got the new park there, the waterfront will only really change when Larco builds on it.
Yeah.
And that'll open up the waterfront to everybody again. Right now, we still have the railways are a real factor as far as getting across, and they have a lot of power, a lot of control, and it makes it very difficult to work with them. So it needs a big development across the tracks to pay for the infrastructure needed to get people back and forth easier.
Do you remember when Pacific Coast Terminals was going to be demolished, or?
Yeah, they were there. I think it was in my time. Well, it was in my time. Yeah. It was too bad. Again, we had a lot of business, a lot of retail from the workers on the waterfront. They were very loyal. Customers.
Were you from a business standpoint, were you worried when all the industry was moving to the other side, Surrey Fraser docks?
Was I worried? Not really. There's nothing you can do about it. You're not going to change things, so you just have to try to change your business a bit to attract new customers, and so but we retained a lot of the old ones, that people that moved their jobs away. They still came back, but it's just made it more difficult to get new ones coming in.
Yeah.
So that was the problem. But no, I wasn't never worried. It was just it wasn't such a huge part of our business that would make a big dent.
Yeah.
But every little thing adds up to something important. So it's it was a loss for sure. No question about it. Anything that left our area and that brought people in downtown was a loss.
Yeah.
What were your feelings on the changes as a whole?
Changes as in what do you speak
Columbia, waterfront, like just how New West changed. Do you think which way was better?
Well, I think what's happening now is very, very positive. You can never go back to how it was before in anything, so that's not even an issue. And maybe perhaps if it had not changed at all, I don't think I think retail would still be suffering there because of the again, there wasn't the mass of people living enough to draw people down to shop at downtown New West, so that probably wouldn't have mattered. What they're doing now, of course, is densifying the area, and with high rises and such, and people living downtown. And what that does is gives you a nucleus of customers to draw from, and that is the beginning of allowing we're getting some good anchor type tenants in that will just the fact that they will draw others downtown, not just people who live and work downtown. So that's kind of the stage they've got to go on, and it seems to be what's happening, and it's great. I mean, I think if you had asked me these questions 15 years ago, it would have been a different story. So we're very fortunate that there is a demand for living in the downtown area. I mean, you got to densify around the SkyTrain stations, and we got 2 of them, so it's we're very lucky that way as well. So yeah, it's good. I think it's got great changes. If I wished there was a Golden Mile again, of course I would, but it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Not going to happen.
Yeah.
Do you remember when the River Market first opened?
The Quay?
Yeah, the Quay.
Yeah, the West Quay. Yeah, sure, that was great. I look back in good days. They were packed. They were busy. They attracted a lot of customers down there, and that slipped away.
Yeah.
Didn't take too many years to fall back, and again, I think it was more the inconvenience for someone to kind of get to it. You got to cross the tracks whether you're walking or driving a car, and parking's an issue, and so I know that's kind of some tough times, and it's a new ownership, but there's not much in there right now, so
it's still new.
It's still coming.
Yeah, still coming.
Oh, it is. I
yeah.
agree. I mean, I think they're probably people who bought it are probably a little more visionary and are willing to wait a bit, and it'll come.
What was in the Quay when it first opened?
Well, of course, a lot of mom and pop markets, vegetable markets, meat markets, wine stores, and just lots of small businesses. Just there maybe even 100 of them. Just very,
wow,
yeah,
100. That's a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was busy, and there's a lot of people in there. A lot of little restaurants, tons of restaurants, and yeah. So that has gone through a transformation.
Mm-hmm. Definitely makes the River Market seem a bit empty compared to 100 businesses.
Yeah. It certainly does. Now there's a few larger ones, but no, they were just small businesses, and they brought their own synergies down to it, and I think they had good success for a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
But again, if they get that, go back to the development, around there on that area, on the wharf side behind our store. That'll help that market again. Yeah.
Do you remember when the SkyTrain came in?
Sure. Yeah. I think what year it was. It was back in the 70s before Expo, wasn't it? 86, actually, Expo 86.
I think it was built for the Expo, yeah.
Early 80s,
Expo,
yeah.
yeah.
Expo. Yes. Yeah, that was, I mean, at the time, no one thought that it would spur development or anything. You just thought of it as a transportation mode, but as we know now that anywhere there's a SkyTrain station, there's population around it.
Yeah, so, but from business standpoint, were you excited about the SkyTrain?
Sure.
Might, breng some foot traffic on Columbia Street?
Well, convenient to go downtown.
Yeah.
Too, for us. Yeah, no, it was very visionary. It was good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. When did that switch happen, do you think, from downtown was New Westminster? Now when we say going downtown, we mean Granville Street, right? No.
Yeah, of course you would. You go downtown, you go to downtown Vancouver. Yeah. That's a good question. Depends, I guess, where you are. If you're living in New Westminster and you say you're going downtown, you probably mean downtown New Westminster. Yeah. If you live in Burnaby or Coquitlam, Richmond, you're going downtown. You're going downtown Vancouver. Yeah. So I still think there's some name recognition of downtown New Westminster for those that live in the area. Mm-hmm. Outside, no, no, definitely not. So, but you got to remember when downtown New Westminster was the hub, there was bars and restaurants and dance halls and pool halls and stuff to do, movie theaters, and that was kind of the area that you go for entertainment. I mean, there was discotheques in my area, Grooveyard down there, just walk up off Columbia Street, and it was just packed on the weekend. I mean, just couldn't imagine. It'd be like it is downtown Vancouver now. So, yeah. So once you lose that, you've lost that name recognition. So when that was, it's hard to say because it's over a period of a number of years that you've lost that little name recognition.
I heard from Longshoremen that New Westminster used to have more beer parlors per capita than any other city in
North Mainland. One of them.
Yeah.
There was lots. I mean, so many. I mean, you think about it. And of course, that was back. Do you remember beer parlors? I mean, as beer parlors, no.
I don't know.
No
beer parlors now.
We have a ladies' entrance, and gentlemen and escorts, or ladies' entrance. I mean, they're two separate. You couldn't even walk in. Guys couldn't walk in the ladies' entrance. I mean, it's bizarre when you think about it. But they would just be big rooms with tables, like I would see pictures of them, but there was, and there was just lots of beer drinking, of course, and they'd open up at 9 in the morning and go till people fall off the table and drag them home. But yes, there was lots. I mean, every hotel would have a beer parlor. There's lots of small hotels down there. So there was probably 7 or 8 in a 3-block area.
Wow.
And each of those, they weren't like little lounges. They were, I'd say 10,000 square foot, huge areas full of tables. And usually full of people, full of customers, longshoremen.
And sailors probably.
Sailors, for sure. That's right. So there was lots of that, and of course, after the boom time and these particular establishments attracted a different sort of clientele. Usually, those that shouldn't be there because they're drinking too much or Yeah, so they did become a very nice place to be in Atala. So they, finally, they're pretty well gone now.
Do you have any fond memories along Columbia Street?
I hope so. I still go back.
Going out to movies or going to...
Yeah, going to Columbia Theatre.
Yeah, Columbia and the Paramount. They were both, they were great theaters. Well, I mean, I was down there so often that I was down there almost every day for 40 odd years. So yeah,
hard to pick one.
Hard to pick one. You know, I knew everybody down there, so it was.
Any funny stories?
Oh, nothing that's lots of funny stories, but nothing that's that funny, really.
Yeah.
Only funny if you were there at the time. Yeah. But yeah, so I think it's gone through a lot, and the future looks outstanding. And
Are you proud of the contribution that COP has made? COP's?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I am. It's nice to just the customers. I mean, they're like friends, and it's just like when they come in, it's like visiting friends. It's it was great. Enjoyed my work and enjoyed being around friends all day. So it was good, and I think we made a slight difference in New Westminster. We gave it a little bit of a recognition. People knew who we were and came to us, and so we went through the highs and the lows and the resurgence again. So it was kind of feel like you've accomplished something.
Yeah, in our interviews, we hear about people saying how they would go to a shoe store and try to get their shoes.
Yeah.
We actually had a woman who worked at Star Shipyards, and she also worked at Cobb's.
Did she?
Yeah, as a teenager.
Oh wow!
On the weekends.
Yeah.
On Saturdays. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How many people would you usually employ? And how has that changed? The numbers.
I would say we had about six employees at the end, and I would say in the heyday there were maybe 8 or 10 between part-time and full-time.
Would that have been in your grandfather's time or your father's time?
Grandfather and father's, I'd say.
Yeah.
And when I first started, the first 10 or 15 years, we probably had that many. And so, it's a business where you get, like I say, weekend helps. A lot of students come through there, and of course then you see them as young adults and families and their grandparents again. So
obviously you had one. I'm curious, did you have many women working at COPS throughout the years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Women are great. They're great. They're workers. I mean, we always had a couple. Always.
Was that the case in your grandfather's time as well?
Yeah. Cool. Although, probably, of course, back then it would be more men. Now it'll be more women, I would say, in retail. Sure. Of course, back then, it would be kind of a man's career would be working in the retail. So he had a number of clerks that would spend their entire career working for him. I had a few from my dad and my era that worked. George McDonald worked probably 35 years. Hardy McKibben worked 48 years in our store.
Wow.
So you can think about it, 48 years.
It's a lifetime.
Yeah.
He spent his whole career.
It is. That's right. It was a lifetime. Yeah.
That's wow.
From a kid out of high school until a few years before he passed away. So it's.
So your father and grandpa must have been really good employers.
Yes. Yeah. We always, that was one how we kind of did well is that we would get good employees and treat them hopefully well. We did, obviously, and they would be there representing you, so the customers would know them by name, and expect them to be there. It was the way to do it.
I was wondering, why are businesses closed on Monday? I heard that's a New Westminster thing, that Mondays the stores would be closed.
No, we were
No?
never closed Mondays.
Okay.
Always Sundays. Some would, like the barbershop did, and the shoe repair did close Mondays just to get a long weekend, because when you're working on your own, you either work 6 days or you work 5 days, so
Yeah.
make sure you have a weekend. Back in my dad's time, in the really 50s, 60s, they were closed Wednesday afternoons.
A Wednesday afternoon.
And all retail on Columbia Street was closed Wednesday afternoons.
Why?
That was their day off. Only half day.
Yeah.
They worked till noon, I think it was on Wednesdays, and shut it down. Always closed Sundays. They worked like 5.5 days a week. And that was kind of standard for, as an employee, we worked 5.5 days a week. It was back before the 40-hour work week came into being. And of course, there was never any, way back when, there was never any Friday nights opening. It was always Saturday nights, which I don't know if you've heard of before, but that was the shopping night, as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, and what
It was
time?
hard to believe.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't believe it either, but sure enough, that was the big retail night.
At what time would stores open till?
9. Yeah. And you get, like I say, families coming in and not only shoes, but clothing and food, and everything was down there at the time. Pubs. So, yeah, so retail's, of course, now things are open, expect 7 days a week.
Yeah.
7 nights a week. Oh my God.
24 hours.
Yeah.
Almost. Oh. Then, you feel for the people that are working in these stores, like, God, it's just there's no end to it.
What were the hours of your store?
We were open just Monday through Saturday, 9 to 5:30. I gave up in the evening. We were open for the first 25 years, and we were open Thursday, Friday nights till 9. But as the area changed, people don't want to come down at nighttime. I said, you know what? For what I'll lose, I don't lose a lot, because they come for me anyway, so they'll come here today. So, and Sunday's the same way. It's a good shopping day for a lot of good retail day for a lot of stores, but you got to kind of balance your family life with your business life, so you have to make some decisions that it's not as important as having a bill see your kids and family a bit. So I made that decision early.
Do you remember when movies were filmed along Front Street?
That wasn't that long ago. Yeah, probably still being filmed along there. There's some big movies down there. We had Robin Williams filming down there, and actually a lot of filming in Norm's Barbershop.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you remember what movie that was for?
You know what? It was funny you asked. It was on TV last night, and I was flicking through, and I saw it. 1 hour photo.
I love that movie.
And if you'll see, I think he's in a barbershop there. Because I caught it at the very end of it, and I didn't see the first part of it. I'd never seen it before, but I'm sure that's the one. And we had to be open that night because it was a Wednesday night or something. The movie people wanted lights on in the store for whatever outside shot, and up pops Robin Williams up into the store. And,
Yeah, you saw him?
yeah. I sold him 3 pair of shoes that night.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
And he was very quiet. Yeah, very kind of a meek guy. Kind of brought people on. But as soon as one of his co-workers came in, then he was on stage. All of a sudden,
He changed.
he switched right around. Just hit everybody in hysterics. So an amazing guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's kind of fun.
Did you see any other celebrities?
there was a big, was it a Terminator show on down there? I've forgotten now. There were, I mean, I'm not a celebrity chaser, I don't know, I would know their name, but I wouldn't know who they are if I bumped into them, so. But there was tons of filming in our store and around our neighborhood for sure. Still a good area for movies because it's kind of that old look, old buildings.
In terms of business, how is the city of New Westminster, with their business permits and their regulation? Like, were they, do you think they were good to their business owners?
Yeah. I have no experience of any bad experiences at all. They were always receptive to phone calls about issues and yeah, I'd say very good actually. A small enough municipality in that city to react to your complaints and or concerns and there's always someone to give you a hand. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. And so they would listen. They would listen to the business owners.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, for sure. No, they're good to work with. I don't know what it's like to. Of course, we always had an established business, so it's to open a new one. Whether there's some issues with the building codes and that, you got to always make some changes, with fire regulations or whatever. When a new tenant comes in, but that's standard anywhere you go. So they were fine.
Gilly, do you have any other questions?
I was actually just curious. You mentioned that the woman that bought out the store was for the bridal shops. I've noticed, I'm new to the area, and I've just noticed it's Bridal Alley now.
Yes, it is.
What do you think caused that?
I would say at the time, a number of years ago, the rents were reasonable, lower than average, I'd say, in the lower mainland, and there was a number of vacancies. So and they need space, and then once you get a couple down there, and then you get three, and all of a sudden this becomes the place to have a bridal shop, and so you get 4, 5, 6, 7. Coming in, so you get a few and attracts others, and the more you attract, the more consumers know about it, and that's where they go to. Not look at one store; they look at 6 or 7 stores. And the Saturday mornings, just to see them. So you can always tell the mom, the daughter, and 3 of her daughter's friends are all trooping around from store to store to store, trying these things on.
Try on grad dresses.
Yes, that's right. So it's kind of, in that respect, it's kind of like its own little mall, like a bridal mall kind of thing, because it's they're all in a very tight area. So yeah, that's how it happens, and it was good. It is good. Yeah.
It's interesting.
It is interesting.
Before it sounds like it was shoe stores.
Yes.
That was the thing.
I wouldn't say 6 shoe stores, but there was also 6 menswear shops and 7 or 8 women's wear shops, so, and 5 or 6 big department stores. So there was lots in that small area. Again, if you're in retail, you had to be there.
Okay, talk about Eaton's being there and Woodward's.
Well, Woodward's was never there. Eaton's was there.
Oh, Eaton's was there. Okay.
Yes, Eaton's was, of course, for the old Army Navy, or the Army Navy is now. That was their building, and yeah, it was sad when they left. It was too bad. Kind of the indication of things to come, I think. Yeah. And when Woodward's built uptown on 6th Street and 6th Avenue there, it was kind of, again, starting to draw away from the downtown core to another area of New West, and it's kind of, again, changing the retail landscape. So it's that was just kind of the start of not the demise, but the slow changing on Columbia Street.
Do you remember Wask?
Wask, sure.
Yeah.
It was on 8th Street in Columbia. Yeah, and a big store there. That's where the Salvation Army is now. Yeah, good store there. Big store.
They sold appliances. Is that right?
Appliances and furniture.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had stores all over, but that was one of the original ones. Yeah. Well, no, it's any retailer. They're all there at the time. Yeah. Now, not so much. Hopefully, come back.
Changing slowly.
Yes. Yeah. But they need to get down there and get some nice restaurants like in Earl's or Cactus Club or something, just to kind of. Once that happens, it just snowballs. You get 2 or 3, and all of a sudden, boom! It just changes. But they've got those kind of restaurants won't go to an area that they've got to get a nice facility to go into. That's why this new trap block that's going up is going to have an area for good restaurants, and a new civic center is going to have a nice restaurant there, and again, it just brings more people and better retail to that section.
Do you still feel connected to downtown Euston? Or it seems like you know what's going on.
I was there yesterday.
Yeah.
So yes, I still do. Of course, I'm still having owning the property there. Yeah, for sure. And heck, to say I spent first 60 years of my life in there, so it's for sure I do. Always will.
Do you know Jim Chapman? I think he's another landlord.
Jim Chappell?
Chappell, yeah.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. And but I'm going to assume that you guys were there first, right? You owned.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Well, before Jim came in. Yeah. He unfortunately one of his buildings went down with a fire, and still owns another building next door to that, still up and running. You talk to Jim?
Oh well. Briefly.
Yeah.
I was just going last summer, just going down there and just like seeing, just talking to businesses, like asking, we call it ground truth, and just seeing if the businesses still exist and like when they opened and just stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he asked us if we were the business improvement association.
I won't say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anything else?
I think we've covered
Good.
We've covered a lot.
Yeah.
Good. I hope that some was. I don't know. It's just been a big part of my life, of course, and my father's and my grandfather's. So we were very, very fortunate, I think, to have had the chance to be working in New West and create a good living for our families, and so we feel very, very fortunate. Good.